Black twins threatened by cops in bar, not knowing one is captain and the other SEAL commander. Some people mistake silence for weakness. They learn too late that the quietest people in the room are often the most dangerous. It was a Friday evening at McGill's Tavern, the kind of neighborhood bar where off-duty police officers gathered to unwind. The brick walls were warm with amber light and the jukebox played old country songs that everyone knew by heart. At a corner table near the window sat two identical men in their early 30s. Arcus and Michael Sterling, twin brothers who looked so alike that even their mother used to mix them up when they were boys. Hay wore simple white t-shirts that couldn't quite hide their athletic builds. Hay sat quietly nursing their beers and talking in low voices about their father who had just been diagnosed with cancer. Hay had driven 8 hours to visit him in the hospital and stopped here on the way home. Two tired men trying to process difficult news over a quiet drink. Hats when three police officers in uniform walked over to their table. He lead officer, a man named Derek Chen with sharp features and an aggressive stance, planted his hands on their table. Think you two need to leave. His voice carried across the bar and conversations died mid-sentence. Arcus looked up slowly. His expression was calm, but something flickered in his eyes. Thing that should have warned anyone paying attention. Is there a problem, officer? You're just having a drink. The problem, Derek continued, leaning forward, is that this bar has a certain clientele. You two don't fit. His partner, Officer Ryan Mitchell, stood behind him looking uncomfortable. The third officer, a younger man named Tony Lopez, crossed his arms and tried to look intimidating. Eichel set down his beer with careful precision. He kind of deliberate movement that comes from years of controlling every action under pressure. We haven't caused any trouble. We'll finish our drinks and go. No, Derek said flatly. You'll go now, before you cause problems. The bartender, an older woman named Claire who had owned McGill's for 20 years, watched nervously from behind the counter. He had seen this scene play out before with these same officers. They had a pattern of choosing targets they thought couldn't fight back. She didn't know, what nobody in that bar knew, was that Marcus and Michael Sterling weren't ordinary men having an ordinary evening. Arcus was Captain Marcus Sterling of the United States Army. He commanded a company of 200 soldiers and had served 3 tours in Afghanistan. His decorations included the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart. Eichel was Commander Michael Sterling of the Navy SEALs. He led one of the most elite fighting units in the world. Trained to operate in the darkest places, doing the hardest things. Tonight they were just 2 sons worried about their father. Men who wanted to drink their beers in peace. Ook, Marcus said, his voice still calm. We don't want any trouble. Let us finish our drinks. Eric's face flushed red. Don't tell me what to do in my bar. Oni stepped closer to Michael. We run this place. We don't like suspicious people hanging around. Suspicious, Michael repeated. He word hung in the air. Arcus and Michael exchanged a glance. Split second of silent communication that only twins who had grown up together could share. Both knew exactly what was happening. Had lived through this before in different forms throughout their lives. He assumption that they didn't belong. He suspicion that they were somehow threats. They weren't 15 anymore. Weren't powerless. Jan, the second officer, put a hand on Derek's shoulder. Man, maybe we should just let them finish their drinks. Not bothering anyone. Derek shrugged him off. Stay out of this. These two are leaving now, or I'll arrest them for trespassing. Michael smiled, but there was no warmth in it. On what grounds exactly? We paid for our drinks. We're sitting quietly. What law are we breaking? Don't get smart with me, Tony said, stepping even closer. We can find something. We always do. That was the moment everything changed. Marcus stood up slowly. He was 6 feet tall and broad-shouldered. His posture shifted subtly from relaxed to something else, something that made Ryan take an instinctive step backward. Michael stood as well, mirror image movements perfectly synchronized. You always do, Marcus repeated quietly. That's interesting phrasing. How many other people have you done this to? Derek's hand moved toward his belt, toward his handcuffs. That's it. Both of you against the wall. Now, For what crime? Michael asked. His voice was still calm, but there was steel underneath. Derek grabbed Marcus's arm. Marcus didn't resist, but his eyes locked onto Derek's hand. He calculated the angle, the grip strength, the 3 ways he could break that hold in under 2 seconds. Years of combat training made it automatic. But he didn't move, not yet. Claire pulled out her phone behind the bar and started recording. She had seen enough. Ryan was backing away now, his instincts screaming warnings. There was something about these 2 men. The way they stood, the way they moved, the absolute calm in their faces. These weren't victims. These were predators choosing not to hunt. "Get your hands off me," Marcus said quietly, "or you're going to regret it." Derek tightened his grip and pulled harder. Tony moved behind Michael, reaching for his own handcuffs. That's when Michael spoke, his voice carrying clearly through the silent bar. "Before you make this worse, you should know something. My brother and I are both active-duty military officers. We're currently on leave visiting our sick father, and everything you're doing right now is being recorded." Derek froze. Ryan closed his eyes. Tony's hand stopped halfway to his cuffs. "What?" Derek said, but his voice had lost its certainty. "Captain Marcus Sterling, U.S. Army," Marcus said, each word distinctly. "Currently stationed at Fort Bragg. Commander Michael Sterling, Navy SEALs," Michael added. "Currently stationed at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado." The silence in the bar was absolute. Claire set her phone on the counter, still recording, and crossed her arms. "I've got the whole thing," she announced. "From the moment you walked over and told them to leave for no reason." Derek's face went white. He released Marcus's arm like it burned him. "I didn't know," he stammered. "You didn't know we were military," Marcus said, his voice hard now, "or you didn't know we were recording, because neither of those things should matter." Ryan was already backing toward the door. Tony looked like he wanted to disappear. Derek tried to recover. "Look, there's been a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," Michael said. "You saw 2 black men sitting quietly in a bar. You assumed we were criminals. You threatened us, grabbed us, and tried to arrest us for nothing. That's not a misunderstanding. That's harassment and abuse of authority." Marcus pulled out his phone. "I have 17 witnesses in this bar. I have video evidence. And I have the phone number of the base commander, who would be very interested to hear how 2 of his officers were treated by local police." "Please," Derek said, and his voice cracked. "Please don't make this a big thing. I have a family, my pension." Michael's expression didn't soften. "So does everyone you've done this to over the years. Did you think about their families, their jobs, their dignity?" Claire spoke up from behind the bar. "They've been doing this for months. Different people every time. Always the same pattern. Always people think, won't fight back." Marcus and Michael looked at each other again, that twin communication passing between them. Then Marcus turned back to Derek. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to apologize, right here, right now, in front of everyone. Then you're going to file an official report about your conduct, and then you're going to hope that your department's internal affairs office is more forgiving than we are." Derek's hands shook as he struggled to form words. "I apologize," he whispered. Michael shook his head, louder, so everyone can hear. "I apologize," Derek said, his voice carrying through the bar. "I was wrong. I let my prejudices affect my judgment. I harassed you without cause." Tony and Ryan stood frozen, waiting to see if they would be next. Marcus looked at them. "You 2, did you try to stop him?" Ryan nodded quickly. "I tried. He told me to stay out of it." "Then you need to report this," Michael said, "because if you don't, you're part of the problem." The twins picked up their beers and finished them. Then they walked to the bar and paid their tab. Claire refused to take their money. "Those drinks are on the house," she said, "and thank you for standing up, not just for yourselves, but for everyone else they've done this to." As Marcus and Michael walked toward the door, Derek called after them, "What happens now? Are you going to press charges?" Marcus paused at the doorway. "We'll see. Right now we have a sick father to get home to, but I'll be sending this video to your chief. What he does with it is up to him." The twins walked out into the cool night air. Behind them, the bar erupted in conversation. Derek sank into a chair, his career flashing before his eyes. Tony and Ryan exchanged glances, knowing they needed to make a choice. Outside, Marcus and Michael stood by their car for a moment. Their father's words from childhood echoed in their minds. "Strength isn't about how hard you can hit," he used to say. It's about how much you can endure and still choose to do the right thing. They had endured, and they had done the right thing, not with violence but with dignity, not with anger but with truth. The next morning, the video went viral. Derek Chen was suspended pending investigation. The police department announced a full review of complaints against him. 6 other people came forward with similar stories. Justice Marcus and Michael learned, sometimes moves slowly, but it moves. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments about a time you witnessed or experienced injustice and how it was resolved, because these stories matter. They remind us that dignity is not negotiable, that respect must be earned, not demanded, and that sometimes the quietest people in the room are the strongest, not because they want to fight, but because they don't have to.